What are you thinking about for the sit today?
Well, I like to always go back to the basics. And so the basics for me would be answering the question, why are we doing this? Why are we sitting here?
Mm.
Or maybe more specifically, what are you doing when you sit? What's this period for you?
Mm. Well, that's an easy one to answer because it's the same every time. Because, as you're experiencing now co-facilitating, like when you're facilitating, you kind of have like 3 or 4 hats on during the sit. Because you're caring about timing. You're thinking about technical stuff, like, is everything working? Did I remember to hit record? Is my text notification dinging because somebody like can't get on and needs my help? There's a few technical things that are taking place for my brain right now. And then, of course, my brain wants to leap into the future, even beyond the sit, and start like going through the bullet points of the talk today, And so in a lot of ways, the sit for me at the beginning of Sangha Ocean Beach is always the same. It's always like, how much can I shepherd or steer my mind to be in the present and to be, as the Sangha is doing, like to be arriving and actually in the sit? And how much of my brain am I going to allow to be in meta thinking?
Mm. I like to also remember that the whole reason we're here for this whole hour is to be practicing, to be paying attention.
Yeah, right. Because we could spend the whole hour thinking about that. Like we could be looking at the clock now thinking, okay, it's 5:03 in 27 minutes. I want to start debating, letting the Sangha in for Dharma sharing, we could fritter away the entire hour thinking about something that's 5 minutes from now, easily. And of course, the Sangha can do that even without wearing the hats of responsibility that we're wearing, right? Because they all have stuff that they have to do.
We all have a phone nearby.
Yeah, right? Dogs, kids, partners, roommates, emails, texts, food to cook, on and on and on.
Yeah, this is an hour we give ourselves to like a little mini trip to the monastery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's an hour to relax. And that's why we start with the sit, so we can start to relax our nervous systems and reconnect our mind and body together with our breath.
Exactly. And so then it becomes like, because the sit is what do we do? 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Then the real challenge, the training, the push-ups is how long can I stay in that state where what I care about the most is being present, and where all of my seeming responsibilities and logistical concerns are secondary or tertiary.
Oh, and I always like to touch on the fact that I just got a message from a friend talking about he had tried to meditate, but he didn't even get 3 seconds in until his mind was going crazy with other things happening, and he couldn't figure out how to turn that off.
Good luck with that.
So it's always a good reminder, a nice reminder to me that we're not trying to turn our minds off. Like this thing makes, what's the newest data? 60,000 thoughts a day on average.
Yep.
Or as Thich Nhat Hanh would call this thing, the radio NST, radio nonstop thinking. Radio nonstop thinking. It is nice that we can change the channel when we want, but this thing's always going to be thinking. So, I like to remind myself that during meditation, I'm not going to stop having thoughts.
Nope. And even my ability to change the channel while ever present, right? Like right now.
Not always available.
Yeah. Like it's hypothetically ever present, but it's not always physically available, right? Like if somebody was shooting at us right now, like, yes, there would still be like 1,000 things that I have to be grateful for, but I don't know that I'd be able to just like stop running for my life and be like, wow, I'm so grateful You know, I was born right-handed. Like, looks like being left-handed's tough.
Not always available.
Yeah, it's not always available. And then just like any training, right? As we go into it now, it's also as available as I make it. If I never practice that in neutral moments or in happy moments, if I never guard my mind and choose what I'm concentrating on, then I never can. Right? Just like if I never, go for a walk up a hill, pretty quickly I'll lose that ability.
You're saying if I never picked up the heavy weight, I can never get strong.
Even worse than that, like if you never pick up the heavy weight, you'll never be able to. Like the only way to have the capacity is to regularly use it.
So bringing that back to our mind, we're talking about having the ability to focus our attention and be able to change the channel?
Exactly. Yeah. Or at least if we were in a situation like we're talking about where changing the channel is not available to us, at least be in more acceptance of that and curiosity inside of that suffering than in like desperate rebellion.
I think that's what Ty called true freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right? Not the end of all suffering, but the diminishment of suffering as much as is possible, and then the holding of the remaining suffering, which will always be there, in a way that we're suffering well, that we're actually learning something from it, instead of just getting punched in the face for no reason.
That reminds me of our little joke back and forth about holding the coin, suffering side up.
Right? If, as Thai teaches, happiness is a coin with joy on one side and suffering on the other side, and the two together in balance are the coin of happiness, then yeah, as Brian likes to say, sometimes I'm holding the coin suffering side up.
Yeah, I'll know that it's kind of a rough day for whatever reason, but I can still be happy during that day. I can just smile at my suffering on my good days. I can just smile at it and be like, all right, well, you were in a bad mood today, or this is really sad today, or you wish these other things would have turned out a different way. And I can still be happy and go through the day. And so I call that going through the day with a coin suffering side up.
That was me today, all morning long, because I just got here a little while ago, and I live about 90 minutes drive from here. And so all morning long, I was kind of rushing and a bit frustrated and feeling a bit overwhelmed, trying to do last minute packing and even some work. We're going into the Mojave Desert to do some camping tomorrow. And so suffering side up, but like, the coin was there. Like I was aware, like, yeah, but you're about to go to Brian's house and have all of this fun and go camping and see the Sangha. It just didn't feel like that all morning.
Time for some attention training.
Let's do this.